This week on A Brit in Poland, I take you to Beskidy Sądecki, I think. I may correct that in the comments. So this is part of the mountain range in the southeast of Poland, not quite Beskidy area, but kind of like a bridge between, I guess, Pianini and Beskidy, maybe. It's my first time here, and we stayed in this lovely, very well-equipped hut. You know, we were able to cook food, there was, comfortable beds, working toilet, always a big bonus on a site. And yeah, we came up on Friday. It was a bit of a long drive from Warsaw, but it was worth it. Did a little bit of hiking to a viewing tower, which was covered in mist. And yesterday we did like a massive nightmare trek up to a couple of peaks. I almost died a few times, but it was worth it, I think. Well, if I've made the video for this, you'll know that I survived the journey back to the car. So stay tuned.
Dzień dobry and welcome to A Brit in Poland. With this channel, I travel across the country, I bring you the culture, and I show you just how amazing Poland is. So I invite you on my journey. If you want to see more, I have Facebook and Instagram profiles, which you will find links to in the description below. And if you want to really help out, you can turn to my Patreon or Patronite accounts, again in the description. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy this video. Please like, share and subscribe. Do zobaczenia.
Organised by Aga, who I'll talk a little bit more in a moment. This is a very rough idea of the kind of path that we took. I didn't have access to the actual map itself, and we had to do a few changes due to some parking stuff. We stopped in Nowy Sącz on the way, mainly so that we could go to the Biedronka or whichever store it was, Carrefour, I don't know, and get a few supplies. And then we had this car park here, which I think is in a... Yeah, I'm trying to find the name of the place, Koszariska. And there was this really cool church. Neostacja Pomocy w Piwnicy Zdrój. A really cool church. So that was a nice bonus, something a bit of a different style. We drove up and parked a little bit further down the way, and then we did a sort of short hike to get up to Chata Maguri. And we didn't realize this before, but they actually have like a really cool shop in there, so you can order all kinds of food and drink. Certainly beer came in handy. And we had horses on the site, which was a bit of a change. Some interesting sculptures dotted around the site. It was actually a really, really nice place to stay, so I do recommend it. Though I think, to be honest, to get to this area, you're going to need a car. I don't think public transport is so good to get here. And yeah, so we had good accommodation with kitchen stuff, bathroom, reasonably comfortable beds, but ultimately we needed to set out. So this is Aga here. She's the organizer of our trip and the organizer of many trips. She's wonderful, absolutely wonderful. She does all of this for friends of hers at no profit. But on the first day, you can see it was a bit misty, which is always a bit of a pain when you're in the mountains, because when you're in the mountains, what do you want to do? You want a view, right? And there was a lot of snow. So on the first day, we took it pretty easy. We got there fairly about midday-ish, and we basically just went up to this looking tower. And it looks great to an extent, and then you see the mist and it's like, oh, it was very sad. But at the same time, you do get this magical view. And it's always nice to see nature in the snow. It just has a certain magic. And speaking of magic, I couldn't help but spot this weird creature in the tree, or the tree creature, I thought of it as some kind of demon. But yeah, it's a pretty cool viewing tower, and it was a nice. I think it's Iliashkovka in, I guess, Slovakian, because we were right on the Slovakian border there. And then the second day, we basically worked out that we had to move the car, because unfortunately we'd parked it in a place that was a bit inconvenient for some people. And so we took a bit of a trek back to the car, went back to the church car park. So we had a bit of a change of route. So at this point, we're basically just heading back into the mountains on our alternative route to hit the various peaks that we were aiming to reach on this trip. And we were in the Radziojowe area of the mountains. I think the mountains, they're split into 3 different sections. So this is the one with the highest peaks, I think. And it was quite exhausting. I mean, whenever you go on these mountain treks, it is a real test of your fitness, and it really shows you kind of what level you're at. And I always struggle even more so in the snow. And even though I was wearing crampons, I had a bit of a disaster on the Saturday because one of my crampons basically broke, so, which was good fun. So we got up to this area which had this cool shrine, and I'm like, oh yay, we've hit a peak. Apparently it wasn't the peak, and this was kind of not quite a midway point, maybe like a 2/3 point. So I opened a beer prematurely, but we did get to sit down and rest and enjoy this view. And yeah, the weather was a bit better on day 2, but still a bit cloudy, but at least the mist was gone, so we could enjoy it a bit more. So we're gradually kind of going from peak to peak at this point. So Niemcovca, which is just above 1,000 meters above sea level. And this was one of the let's say, once you get to these kind of peaks, you're like, all right, the hard work is mostly done. Oh God, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that for my own sanity. And it was just really cool. Like the group of people that we were with were just like real characters, some very experienced mountain people, and we're just kind of spotting all the interesting things we see. So you saw like a little shrine there on the tree, and you get a lot of this sort of stuff. So yeah, I think this was like the highest we went at 11:45 Wielki Rogacz. There are definitely like higher peaks in the area. I think very close to this is the highest peak, which is Wieża Widokowa. And I think one guy did run up to get to that peak, and the rest of us were a bit exhausted. But I love seeing these kind of monuments. I don't know, they don't really often come with descriptions, so a lot of them, I assume, are kind of memorials to certain people that perhaps have passed away in the mountains, or I think others are kind of religious signals. And this was one of the characteristics of this trip. Mainly Aga sliding down the mountains on these little plastic things. I'm pretty certain that this was a grave. Yeah, I mean, the weather could have been a little nicer. It was a little bit treacherous because there was a lot of kind of compacted snow and a lot of ice. And when I was down to the one crampon, I did slip and fall a couple of times. Luckily, I didn't really get away with any injuries other than a bruised elbow, which, isn't so bad. It was just more the frustration when you're tired and then suddenly you slip and you're on the floor. It's like, so I was getting a little bit frustrated at times, but, you look back and laugh. At the time, it was a little bit painful to keep landing on your ass, but it was good fun. But it's all worth it for these views. I just feel so relaxed. yeah, we saw this guy with his horse who was, I guess a forester. So that was a nice little thing. And in the evening on the Saturday, we got a fire going. We had some sausages that we did some cooking on there. And it was just really nice to relax. So we get to the Sunday, and finally the weather turns. This is my ideal condition. I don't mind a bit of snow if there's some sun to go with it. And we were heading to Piwnice Zdrój, and I was surprised to see all of these stairs. And I'm like, oh, they would have been handy on the other days. Stairs are always a little bit easier than going up these mountain paths. And then we get, you were clearly sort of going down the mountain, and we get these amazing, like, panoramic scenery. And, oh, God, I could just stay in these kind of areas for hours and just look out at the views. I just find it so relaxing. Sadly, one member of the group managed to slip just as we were getting past all the ice, and he had to go to hospital. And, yeah, he had a leg broken in 2 places, which is pretty horrific, but, he was tough. We saw another church similar in style to the one we saw at the beginning, which was a kind of a nice surprise. And yeah, we're just gradually heading down to Piwnice Zdrój, wondering, what the state is of our fallen companion at this point. We didn't realize he'd actually broken something, but it looked pretty bad. And we're seeing all of the kind of mountain scenery, so seeing the kind of residences in the mountains. Here we're finally getting down, to the town itself. And I was a little sad because we didn't really get any time to explore, because I would have loved to have said that I've not only been here, but like seen what this place has to offer, because I love exploring these places in Poland. But ultimately, we had to go back to Nowy Sącz because the chap who fell, he had to go to the hospital there. And that was, when he was x-rayed and put into a cast in pretty record time, actually. Because we went for a meal when we got to Nowy Sącz in the end. And he was able to join us. So that was good. I mean, obviously, he's going to be out of action for a little bit, bless him. But at least it happened at the end of the trip and not at the beginning or halfway through. So he did get to enjoy. So these are some shots of Piwnice Zdrój as we were driving through. So that was nice. Unfortunately, not the cleanest windows to get the view, but at least you get an idea of the scenery. So we got to Nowy Sącz, get some well-earned food, and can safely say had another memorable and amazing mountain trip. It's always great to explore more Polish mountains, and many more to come. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, please subscribe. Much more to come.